Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different, really focused. We've got just one source text in front of us. It's the raw lyrics for Alison McLean's song Total Defiance.
Yeah, stripping away the music, just looking at the words on the page.
Exactly, treating it as this really dense piece of, well, social commentary, philosophical text almost. Our goal here is to unpack the critiques, the arguments layered in these lyrics, and maybe wrestle with some of the big existential questions it raises.
It's a great way to approach it because that title, Total Defiance, it hits you immediately, right? Sets up this strong expectation.
It really does.
But then the lyrics themselves, they instantly start to complicate that idea. The tension isn't straightforward.
What do you mean complicate? For me, the first thing that struck me was this contrast. You have total defiance, but then right away it talks about indifference, about apathy.
That's the core paradox McLean seems to be exploring. It's not just defiance versus the system. It's maybe digging into something like performative defiance.
Performative defiance.
Yeah, like the intent to resist is there, it's declared loud and clear, but maybe it gets swallowed up by this pervasive exhaustion, societal apathy. The lyrics kind of drop you right into this cycle. The world's chaotic, so people check out, become indifferent, and that indifference actually makes real resistance, well, almost impossible.
Okay, I see. Let's dive into verse 1 then, because that tension is right there from the start. It opens with total defiance, this bold statement, but then the very next line is surrounded by silence. Now, I had a thought here. Does defiance have to be loud? Couldn't the silence itself be the defiance, a refusal to participate in the noise?
That's a really interesting point. Silence can be a form of resistance, a strategic withdrawal. But the context the lyrics build around it seems to suggest otherwise. This isn't presented as a calm, chosen silence.
How so?
Well, look at the description of the environment, organized by human chaos. If the silence were a powerful, defiant act, you might expect it within a more ordered context. Here, the chaos seems to be the organizing principle itself.
Organized by human chaos. I mean, that phrase alone, it feels incredibly modern, like it could describe so much. How can chaos be organized?
Right. It sounds paradoxical. But maybe the organization isn't about creating order or peace. Maybe it's about making the dysfunction predictable. Think about it, the rules, the systems, the bureaucracy. They often feel like they're built on human irrationality, on short-term thinking, maybe even conflict.
Yeah, definitely.
Yet these kind of chaotic structures, they operate with this weirdly reliable inefficiency. You know the traffic will be bad. You know the form will be complicated. It's chaos you can count on. Institutionalized disorder.
Wow. So a system built on conflict, but it runs like clockwork in its own broken way. And the response to living inside that is just to tune out.
That seems to be exactly what the lyrics point to. Which brings us to that line that just keeps coming back. The anchor, really.
Yeah.
Many of us couldn't give a toss.
That line hits hard.
It does. Because if the chaos is organized and the main response is apathy, then what happens to defiance? Silent or loud, it just kind of fizzles out. Indifference becomes the system's biggest win. It almost feels like the system needs us to be too tired, too detached to really fight back.
Okay, so if apathy is the result, what's driving the chaos in the first place? The lyrics seem to shift focus to that next. And McLean really hammers home this idea of constant, relentless movement. The phrase endless motion just repeats and repeats.
4 times. Right there in verse 3, boom, 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 boom. The structure really emphasizes it. It's like being on a treadmill you can't get off. Always busy, always scrolling, always reacting. There's no space left for actual thought, or maybe meaningful resistance. It just drains you.
And it's not presented as natural, is it? This endless motion feels like it's fueled by something artificial. The lyrics use this strange phrase, a frequency potion.
Yeah, frequency potion. It's abstract, but if you think about it in today's world, maybe it's the constant stream of information, the algorithms, social media feeds, news cycles hitting you 24/7.
Like an invisible signal controlling our attention.
Exactly. Something that keeps us locked in that endless motion, keeps us consuming, keeps us distracted, maybe warps our sense of what's real until we're just too exhausted to give a toss.
So this potion, this signal, is actively warping life. And this is where, for me, the critique becomes incredibly specific and, frankly, quite disturbing. It connects the abstract warping to a very concrete economic image where playground profits are rife.
Oof, yeah, that line lands heavily. It's probably the sharpest, most specific image in the whole piece. The playground that traditionally represents innocence, right? potential, creativity, a space that should be protected.
And the idea that profits are rife there, not just present, but spreading like a disease, suggests the system's core logic is exploiting the most fundamental, maybe the most vulnerable parts of human experience.
Absolutely. You could read that in so many ways today. Monetizing kids' attention, selling their data, turning basic human needs and joys into commodities for extraction. The lyrics seem to say that even this supposedly sacred space of childhood, of play, has been completely taken over by this organized, chaotic, profit-driven system. If the playground isn't safe, then nothing is.
So if that's the world we're in, organized chaos, endless warped motion, profits extracted from innocence itself, what does that do to the people living inside it? The text suggests it leads to this awareness of collective madness.
Yes, exactly. A self-awareness that the distortion isn't just external anymore, it's become a shared internal state. Some may say we are insane in a membrane.
In a membrane, like trapped inside something.
Yeah, like we're all enclosed in this bubble, this psychological space containing this shared insanity. We might recognize the madness in ourselves and others, feel the same pressures, the same warp, but maybe that membrane itself, that shared condition, stops us from breaking through the apathy, from actually connecting and pushing back together.
Which brings us to the chorus. After all this bleakness, this critique, the lyrics seem to take a breath.
They do. It's almost like trying to find common ground before delivering the final blow. It offers this statement, all things being equal, a reminder that we are all people. It's asserting that fundamental shared humanity, the very thing you think would fuel solidarity, would fuel real defiance.
But it feels like a setup, because that moment of connection, that reminder, it's immediately questioned, isn't it? Undercut by this huge existential doubt.
Completely. The rug is pulled right out, and here we are, playing human, or are we? That's the kicker. It's the ultimate challenge thrown back at us. If our lives are shaped by this organized chaos, if we're manipulated by this frequency potion, if we accept the madness inside the membrane, are we actually living authentically? We're just acting out a script.
Just playing human. Wow. And that connects right back to the beginning, to the apathy. If many of us couldn't give a toss about the chaos, about the playground profits, does that mean we're failing at being human? That we've given up on playing the part properly?
It links the external system to our internal response, or lack of response. If apathy, if accepting the warp, is how we cope, then the lyrics seem to argue we've compromised something essential about being people. The defiance might be declared total, but maybe it's hollowed out from the inside because the human spirit, trapped in that membrane, has just disengaged.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. McLean seems to be painting this picture of a really vicious cycle. You've got organized chaos driving endless motion.
Which gets monetized, exploiting even innocence like the playground profits.
Right, and this whole process warps our reality, creating a kind of shared, self-aware insanity.
Trapped in that membrane.
Which ultimately makes us question our own humanity. It makes us ask if we're just playing human. And all this makes the initial declaration of total defiance feel, well, maybe tragically empty, performative, like you said earlier.
I think that's a fair reading of the narrative arc here. And the value for you listening to this and digging into lyrics like these, it really forces you to think about what resistance even means today. Especially when we're overloaded with information, dealing with systems that feel impossibly complex, it pushes you to ask, is defiance still defiance? If it's quiet, if it's isolated, if it exists alongside this deep, almost institutionalized indifference.
Yeah, it makes you really consider the weight of that silence we talked about earlier. What's the cost of just individually, quietly resisting when the whole world is caught in that relentless motion?
And maybe that's the final thought to take away, building on the source material itself. If the system runs on endless motion, and we're experiencing it through a frequency potion that warps things, where does total defiance need to aim? Do we fate the motion itself? Try to stop the treadmill, find real stillness? Or do we need to target the frequency, try to break this spell, escape the membrane?
What does it actually take to stop just playing human and, start genuinely being human again? That's definitely something to chew on.